Hey guys, this video is gonna be kind of how to get started into D&D the cheapest way. This is more for a lot of the coworkers that have been asking me about, hey, how to get into D&D cheap, and what is the best options. Depending on what exactly you want out of the game, there's a couple different ways to go about doing it. The more direct way to do it is just go to the store and buy the books and dice. There you go. However, when you do that, books, I don't know if you can see on here, are like $50 a piece. If you go to like Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, even certain game shops, they're going to charge that full price. Or you could go onto Amazon or eBay or some online place. They tend to sell them a lot cheaper. Or you can get them used and get it cheaper. However, Wizards of the Coast, the people who make Dungeons and Dragons, does a free kind of version of Dungeons and Dragons. You just go to their website, and I think it's under the new player or new to the game column on the top screen, and you can download the rules that you need. The basically a mini player's handbook type thing, and I think it's now up to 5th level you can go to with that. There's a mini monster manual, and then there's like a mini DM's type guide thing. I think the monster manual is with the DM's guide, but you can download that and get started that way. It's a great resource to see if you're really into that kind of game before forking out money, or you could go and buy the actual starter set for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now with the starter set, you basically get 2 books and some pre-made characters. With the book, it's basically just a pre-made adventure that you can run, and then there's like a player's kind of book that teaches kind of the players the basics of the game, and then 5 pre-made characters. There's no teaching how to make characters. There's none of that stuff. So you don't, if you want to play those characters, you don't even need to buy the starter set. You can just go to the website, and the website from Dungeons and Dragons actually has where you can download those free characters. So unless you are someone who really already knows the game, kind of what it's about and all, I wouldn't pay the money to get the starter set. Just download the free basic rules, download the free characters, they're pre-made, and go about doing that way. If you feel the need that you have to run the actual D&D game. There is another route that you can go. If you want to go the free route. There is a game called Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game. And it's not D&D by brand name. It's basically kind of like a old school Dungeons and Dragons meets almost 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons with some rule changes or whatnot. But it has kind of like an old school D&D feel to it. But it's not technically named Dungeons and Dragons. But any basic fantasy role-playing game is basically Dungeons and Dragons. It really is. Matter of fact, even in the PDFs and stuff that you look on it, you'll see that they have to, because of the open game license, actually give Dungeons and Dragons credit for their game. So it's basically Dungeons and Dragons. The reason why I bring this game up is you can look up basic fantasy role-playing game or basic fantasy RPG, And on their official website, which is, I think it's called basicfantasyrpg.org. And on there, there's two ways to go about. You can actually get the physical book copies, or you can go and get the entire game free off their website, download all their PDFs files, I mean, all of them for the games. That includes player's handbooks, basically. Well, the player's handbook is basically all lumped together with the DM or GM guide and the first monster manual. It's just one book. And that book is actually, if you want the print one, only $5. So if you think about it, $50 each, $5 for one book. You can actually get the whole entire set with all of the adventure modules or the additional bestiary, basically book for additional monsters and everything, like everything, the whole entire line of stuff for like $50 if you want it in print form. Or again, you can just off their website, so you're not going to some other third party's web page that says, hey, I scanned in everything. No, the actual creators of this game made the whole entire game free. So me being a D&D player, I always look for just different ideas and stuff. So I went ahead and download it. This is basically a book that they made. It's called The Adventures Anthology Part 1. There is a Part 2. And I just downloaded it and printed it out. But I mean, there's some good stuff in here. There's maps and everything. And this whole thing is free. So if you don't have a lot of money, but you're wanting to get into the hobby of Dungeons and Dragons, I would highly suggest getting this game format. Again, it's called Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game. The pre-made adventures that they offer are very basic compared to something like the Tales of the Yawning Portal, which is, a bunch of adventures, pre-made adventures from the span of the years of Dungeons and Dragons, from the first edition to the most modern. And like the maps are really colorful and all that, and all that. But the big thing that's different between this and this is it doesn't give full backgrounds of everything in the town like you would find in this, or it doesn't really give monster motivation, if you will, or bad guy motivation. But I don't mind that, because when I go and use pre-made modulars or the adventures, what I tend to do is change them up anyway, because a lot of my players are ones who've played the game for a while, or they've had friends that are in other groups that play the same game, and all, or they DM themselves. So, a lot of DMs, pretty much most DMs have this. So if one of my players has this book, they can just flip through it and know what's going on or whatnot. So I take the adventures and I change it up. I change the rooms up. I change what is in the rooms, and change up the bad guys, change the bad guys' names, appearances, and stuff. So it doesn't, how can I put it? It can't be spoiled by online spoilers or someone looking up a YouTube video and someone's talking about a particular adventure and then spoil it for the group if I was to say runneth completely how it is. So I don't mind that these are, basic I just put my change of notes on here and then run it how I like. But I mean, there's some really good stuff for people who are just starting out. And there are, in this one book alone, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different adventures, and it's free. So, guys, I would definitely check this out for free. And then just the other stuff, just get some bag of dice. They sell them sometimes for like $30 a pound of dice. And there's like 5 or 6 different sets. So it's not bad when you break down. You go to a store and you're paying between $5 and $7 anyway for one set of dice. So it's not too bad. Get one of them, pencils, graph paper, and play it that way. When it comes to combat, if you feel the need to play miniatures but can't afford miniatures, use coins and whatnot on paper and just draw out the maps on paper. And that's what I would recommend doing. If you really like this stuff and you feel like you would want to explore more into Dungeons and Dragons or real D&D products, then go ahead and do so. My group, we play D&D 5th edition, but I'm using a lot of stuff from here. It's your game. You feel what you think's best for your game. But even those who are familiar with D&D or played an older edition and want to get back into the hobby, I think this is a good start to see if this is something really you want to do. Some of the rules I think are more easier in 5th edition, but I mean, for free, you can't beat this. So that's the way I would personally go. I'm going to be doing a video later on about how to take something that's this simplistic, like the adventures in here, and what I do to kind of change it up, and also you can kind of get an idea of what I do to change the adventures. I won't disclose exactly what I'm doing in here because, you know, as most of you guys know, you are my players in my group, so I'm not going to reveal what I'm doing. So, all right, guys, I'll check you guys later. Bye.